Hello everyone, Baltic Fire Laboratory again, Gdańsk, Poland. We are in the beautiful enclosure, 5.5 meter height, 8 meter long, 4 meter wide. We are testing here EN14972 part 17, a standard, which luckily I was able to be part of, working on this standard, and we are testing from 6 months already according to our accreditation. And on my back, you can see what may happen if you do not install the suppression system, the water mist, if it's low pressure or high pressure in this kind of enclosure. So yesterday we ran here just to gain more data, a free burn tests. It means the corner test with the foams, with the wood crib, without suppression system installed, without the activation of those system. What we seen after 4 minutes, because of the safety in the lab, I was forced to stop the tests. We reached flashover, we reached 855 Celsius on the ceiling. It was unsafe to continue the test, but the intention was to run this test for the 30 minutes. We are gaining the data from the free burn tests just to compare those data with the low pressure mist system and the high pressure mist system. If you are interested, just drop an email to our laboratory or directly to me, and then we can help. We will issue some papers, hopefully soon, to the fire industry about our research in this area for the residential protection. But I would like to invite you to the discussion with the Guy Briscoe from the iCO company from the UK, which spent with us more than like 2 weeks testing their system, high pressure, low pressure for the residential protection. The UK market is very important market for such water-based systems. So let's go, let's dive with the discussion with the guy, and maybe there will be something interesting for you why such residential systems are so important in the UK. So stay in touch and go for the discussion with the guy. Hello Guy.
Hello.
Nice to meet you again in Poland. Please have a seat.
Welcome.
So again, we are in Baltic Fire Laboratory. Little different tests for us as a laboratory, easier because we are testing in the enclosures. Guy is the R&D director at the iCO company from the UK.
Right.
We are not testing from yesterday. There was a kind of nice cooperation for more than 1 year approximately. And I can tell you some ideas how those tests was performed in this laboratory. We are testing EN14972 part 17, a kind of residential standard. Guy, tell me something about the UK market for the residential protection with the water mist system. Why this standard is so interesting in your country?
So the market in the UK for residential is quite interesting. It's probably the largest market in the UK.
Okay.
There was a British standard which was first published around 2016, 2015 for residential water mist. Since then, the market's grown quite significantly, along with residential sprinklers as well.
Yes.
The two sort of go hand in hand. And then more recently, there's been the harmonisation with European standard,
Yes.
with the recent publication of Part 17, which has a few variations of what's in BS 8458.
Exactly, and it's quite good to mention that, to be honest, for me, it's a kind of success, because from this 1 year approximately, we give you to do a nice homework. We send you our own material from the laboratory.
That's right.
And I think you are the first manufacturer who did this homework so great that we are on the end of the testing, and seems like the system which you bring here to Poland after your homework in the UK just make pass. So it was quite nice to see, and really appreciate that you are the customer who listening us, despite we are quite a young laboratory. So why you decide to listen us, or you had maybe same ideas how to run those testing?
Yes, a couple of reasons. The BFL is obviously certified for Part 17, which is under the iCO 17025
Correct.
certificate. So we know that the standards are all correct and everything is done the right way. And after coming here a year ago, doing some initial tests, we've gone away, done our homework, bought some of the same burn materials that you use, which is critical,
Yes.
Because you can get variations in performance between different materials. We know that it's got the correct kilometry reports and correct burn rates across the wood.
Yep.
So it's critical for us to have that to be able to test on our own rig to make sure it's going to work.
Exactly, and I had a pleasure to be part of the Part 17 preparation in the GW10 group, and luckily the Baltic Fire Laboratory gives some ideas how to add maybe not modification, the clarification for the fuel load. So today we are in the quite impressive room because it's 4 × 8 in footprint and 5.5 meter ceiling enclosure, which is quite impressive residential room. I think it's not too many of such on the market, but for sure some. So we, as a laboratory, make some our homework before this discussion on the GW10 for the calorimetry of the foams, for the conditioning of the playwoods. So we tried to be involved, like I think 15 months before when the standard was published. So when the standard is published, we are already accredited from the Polish Center of the Accreditation according to the 17025. And this is the power as well for the manufacturers, that they have the facility when they will get the test report with the ILA camera signature, which is recognized worldwide. So I think this was something that you was looking for, and good that we catch up somewhere in some of the conferences first time. And I was quite active as well on the LinkedIn about this, what we are doing, not exactly now because there's a huge queue of our videos, but we are focused on the fire test inside the laboratory. So tell a little more, not too much of course, about the system which was tested in what kind of an enclosure.
Yeah, so it's a great setup here for being able to conduct the test very, very quickly, because there's a 2.5 meter room, 3.5 meter room, which allows us to swap over quite quickly.
Yep.
So we've done a series of the 2.5 meter tests and some 3.5 meter tests on a couple of our products, new products, which is concealed high and low pressure variants. So we're fortunate to conduct those tests and be successful with them this week, which has been done extremely quickly and efficiently because of the number of rooms that you've got already.
Yeah, exactly. And the feedback when I'm preparing some offers for the customers for this Part 17, they are asking how it's possible to run those tests in such a way. We invest as a laboratory a lot of money for the enclosures, for the installation of the material. So just to our lab, you must arrive only with the one nozzle, sprinkler, water mist nozzle, and then we are doing just the test in the 2.5 meter ceiling after 2 hours when the 2.5 meter is after the test and is under the conditioning process, drying and all this thing, because we cannot start the test with the moisture more than 70%. Then we can run in the 3.5, in the 5.5, which is in the same laboratory. So I think this is an efficient way of the work. The team of the technicians is quite strong as well. It takes only 3 years to find the right people. It's not easy to find the right people in this kind of booming market now. But luckily we succeed, and we are happy to provide the services for the I do not want to say small companies, but some companies which are just took a correct way of the thinking, and I think the iCO is an example, because the market for sure is dominated by the big players, but in my opinion, same like in the market of the fire testing, is good to have the competition, because this evaluate the way how we are working, and I think your product is quite competitive in terms of the working with the sprinkler system, with the water mist. There is some overlaps, like the design looks exactly the same like for the sprinkler system.
Certainly we've got some USPs there. I think it's one of the first really properly concealed water mist nozzles that looks very much like a sprinkler, so it's can be sort of widely accepted by some people who'd be less likely to accept it.
Yep.
And the option for both high and low pressure is good for us, because particularly residential, because when you get into the bigger buildings, really low pressure is the way to go from a cost perspective.
Yeah, and can you just, from this perspective of the end user, can you just advise who is choosing for the residential buildings the high pressure mist system and who is choosing the low pressure mist system? Why? How it's connected with the cost of the installation and so
on? Yeah, so the requirements come in the first place from either approved document B or another national document called BS991, which will have maybe some relaxations that require a suppression system to be installed as a compensatory feature. Also, it's a new requirement in the UK for all buildings, residential buildings above 11 metres to have a suppression system in. In Wales, it's all new houses must have a suppression system in. And in Scotland, housing multiple occupancy and some social housing as well is required. So it varies from place to place. In terms of what system people go for, that really boils down to the specifiers, which could be an architectural consultant or a homeowner. So there's a bit of a cost difference between the high and low pressure. High pressure generally is more expensive on pipe and fittings because of the high pressures involved.
Yes.
And when you scale that up into a large building, it becomes cost prohibitive. When you weigh it up against, say, a sprinkler system or a low pressure mist system, it's just becomes less and less competitive. And the people who select that are the ones who are very concerned about water, because with high pressure naturally is much less water.
Yes.
Less than half. What you might get in our low pressure, and our low pressure is half of what you get in a sprinkler.
Yeah.
So it really depends what people want. It depends on how much water they're willing to accept and what storage space they have for pumps and tanks. So with a high pressure system, we can get away with running it straight off the mains. Obviously, that's a space saving.
Yes.
Advantage. So when you're doing small apartments in, say, expensive area like London, where space is critical, people are locked for that system. But then if you're going for a large block of flats, it's more likely to be low pressure.
Yeah. And what is see in the test during the weekend? Already you mentioned that your two systems, high pressure and the low pressure. The high pressure using the half water, but the performance is very similar.
Yeah.
So you always must balance how much water you are loading because the system is much more expensive. So it's always a good balance.
Absolutely, yeah. Our systems perform almost identically, really,
yes.
Which is what we've had to do to get the system to perform correctly. But yeah, high pressure for sure, much less water. You could make it perform better with a higher flow.
Yes.
But clearly within residential, water is a massive factor. In industrial or commercial applications, it can often be quite easy to clear up water.
Yeah.
Even in an office space, you can change some floor tiles, you can change some computers and some desks, and you're up and running. Water in a residential property can cause some substantial damage. So the less the better.
That's good, that's good. And then we are just 5 minutes before the huge fire test, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I'm really thrilled like you, 5.5 meter ceiling with plenty of the plywood for the corner test. I think there will be the huge fire, but this is the development stage. So we must just do some homework for the lab as well, and you must do some R&D tests as well. This is not exactly the test. The test setup is obviously same like for the approval tests, but we are running the R&D test just to understand that your system selected is able to handle this fire. So good that on the end of the series we are able to run some additional tests just to consume this test which we are ordering. And on the end, the services from the BFL, not only the fire test, but the accommodation and help with the restaurant, it's good for you.
Yeah, it's been very good. We've eaten and drank very well this week. I'm going to need to be going on.
I think you had the chance to celebrate after this success.
Certainly yesterday we had some celebrations. So
that's good. That's good.
This morning.
You will be in the Tuchum newspaper.
Possibly.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so see you next time here, because I think this is not the beginning. There's the cooperation between us. There is some framework of the cooperation in the future for your development systems. So thank you very much to come to the Poland and stay in touch, Guy. It was a big pleasure to have you here, and we must do as well. Do not forget to mention that with you was the great guys, Archie and James.
Yeah, Archie and James.
Exactly. So they did tremendous work with this testing together with our technicians, and this is the big privilege for us working with all of your team. Thank you very much, Guy. Thank you.
Right.
Stay in touch for the next part of the residential protection with the water mist. We'll continue this. Bye-bye. Okay, so some takeouts from the discussion with Guy, his team, and this what they did here in Poland. To be honest, more than 2 years ago, we started to cooperate. I try to educate the customers that the key point in all the fire tests is a material. So we provide plenty of the material in the 3 deliveries to UK, to their testing rig. So they make a great homework. I'm really proud of the customer, which really think outside of the box, listen that the material is critical. So the guys did a great job with these tests, but as you can see, I'm surrounded by the high certified material, wood clips, HC3 boxes, which are the bread and butter for us, for us testing now, the foams as well. And the main actor is this object. So maybe you see that this is a sprinkler nozzle, and I will show you something. Looks like sprinkler, but it's in real water mist low pressure nozzle from the iCO guys. I really like to work with the people which are thinking outside of the box, because this kind of design may give to the industry a better credibility. Looks much more like the sprinkler. The sprinklers are good, the water mist is good as well, but there is needed some extra data and the justification. What are the differences, the benefits of the water mist systems, the benefits of the sprinkler system, just to have the fair competition, because the water mist system are very common from the full-scale fire tests. We are testing the sprinkler system as well. In the little different way, we try to gain the data from the sprinkler system as well when we are running the test with the water mist to understand the differences, the overlaps. So I can invite you to this work which we are doing as a research project, the free burn tests, the comparison test between the water mist, low pressure, high pressure, and the sprinkler system. Not only the ceiling nozzles, by the sidewall. Keep in touch, and we are waiting for you in the next series of the Silent Heroes from Gdańsk, Poland, Baltic Fire Laboratory. A nice event this year, so hopefully we will meet in the quarter third of the 2025 here in the Gdańsk. Stay in touch, bye guys.